river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Shrewsbury an author who has written, I believe, his first book, and his name is Jay Hummer, and the book is called, get this, Every Day is a Field Trip. Can you zero in on this? Look at that van. That looks like what? The hippie van? Kind of going along, right, Jay? Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Jay, sometimes I try to figure out if I've met them, heard about them on in a newspaper article. He set me straight. It was at the TACNUT list of events. You were there how long ago?
A few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. Did you like it?
It's a great store.
Yeah.
It's a great store, and I met some nice people. Came in for the book signing. Met one couple who couldn't come into the store, and I was able to run out to their car and bring them their book, and that was fun talking with them. So, it's always good to meet some new people, particularly when you're trying to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, some, either they can't come in or they're afraid of their masks or whatever, but I like the back of TACNUT. Did you go where you could just sit and relax in the back?
No, we were up in the front of the store. It was they wanted to get us where the action is. I mean, if they put us in the back, nobody may have found us.
Well, I'm glad you were there. Now, every day is a field trip. Now, a welcome antidote to doom scrolling, Zoom meetings, and binge watching. Every day is a field trip. It's a perfect anti-pandemic and after-pandemic read. It incites us to break out of sedentary routines and get back in touch with the restorative power of play and exploration, even, especially, if it takes us out of our comfort zone. Hallelujah. What made you decide to write this?
It's a funny story, and it was a field trip that I went on with one of my children, school field trips. When we got back, my lovely bride asked me how the field trip was, and I said it was great. And I said, but every day is a field trip for me.
Yeah.
And so I went about setting the tone and actually kept a log for 6 months to see if my statement was indeed true, and it was indeed true. And field tripping is a mindset. About going on a field trip every day is a mindset that I've always had, and it was probably set by my mother way back when, and taking me out every day and my siblings and having fun somewhere, and it kind of stuck with me. And it wasn't just about working every day; it's about enjoying your one life, and that's the key to the book, is to get folks to enjoy their one life. Where so many of us are just kind of passing by, and that's not okay.
Yeah, I've met through the years friends and acquaintances who are what I call human doings. They don't mean it, they don't even know it, but they have to be accomplishing something every minute. I mean, they just can't sit down and go outside and smell the freshly mowed grass. You got to have a sense of sensuality, right, with that type of thing, and to feel it. So now, when did you start writing the book?
I actually started writing the book when I was in corporate America, and it was the idea that happened. And unfortunately, like so many others, I had this tunnel vision of work and making sure I had fun. I didn't have a lot of time to write the book. So when I finally went out on my own and became an entrepreneur, I said, okay, I'm going to write this book. And then things really took off, and it was difficult to get the time to write the book again. But during the pandemic, I was able to finish it up pretty quickly, within about a month or so, because it was most of the way done. And then we went into the editing phase and tried to tighten it up for everybody.
Now, he's a jack of all trades. Not only now are you a great author, but you are an entrepreneur work-wise.
I am.
Oh my God. Where do you find the time?
It's about not having the time to do things that maybe slow down so many other people. I don't sit in front of the TV all the time. I don't sit in front of the computer unless it's for work.
Yeah.
And try not to do that often. So it's about enjoying your time. I believe that we all have 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a certain amount of sleep. We get that. And then you can do the math. There's a whole lot of time to have fun in between.
I think, too, maybe you'll agree, you have kids, I have a kid, that I used to notice how a lot of the parents scheduled the kids. I know when I was a kid and I came home, I could wait to get home. There'd be raisin cookies, there'd be, Mom would never say, okay, we're going here, we're going to go there, you got to go to ballet, you got to go to this and that. I was allowed to just kind of chill out, have my friend over, we could play in the woods, whatever we wanted to do. And then do my homework after school, after dinner, and then watch a couple shows. But that's how I grew up. She wasn't pushing me into something every time I turned around. If I wanted to do something at school, I'd bring it up and say, I'd like to be in that show. No problem.
Yeah. Well,
were you like that too?
That's two questions, right?
Yeah.
Me as a child and then me as an adult.
I think we're just big kids, though.
Yes, that's the key.
Yep.
Is, I look at our children, and my children are all adults now.
Yep.
They just provided so many field trips. It was a constant field trip, no matter what they were doing, whether they were playing baseball or a dance recital or doing a theater act or musicals, whatever it might have been. It was always fun to go and see those, and I kind of miss that. We have one of our kids who is still in college, providing us with some sports activity that we get to watch, and then I guess I have to wait for grandchildren.
So, Stonehill College?
No.
So, but it's still in college.
Yeah, still in college, yes.
So, my God. So now, have they read your book, your children?
They have, and in fact, my two daughters were instrumental in deciding, hey, which direction I went with the book. Meaning, do I actually try to present it, or do I write the book and give it to my mom and say, hey, Mom, here's a cool book, I hope you're proud of me. That wasn't the case. But my daughters I used as editors early on in the process.
Good.
And they started doing the field trips that are actually in each chapter. And when I saw that happen, and then I had my sister Dawn give it a look as well, and she did the same thing where she started to go on field trips that she would not have otherwise gone on. I said, all right, you know what? I guess there's strong reason for many people to read this book.
Definitely. I mean, this is for, any age, I would think. You know what this would be good for is to, some of my authors say to me, why would I go to a senior center if my book isn't directed to? I'm like, think again. They read too, and if you go in there, a lot of them are starting over again at 60, whatever, maybe a new company, maybe a new hobby. Reading something like this gives them that extra shot, like, that's cool, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many ideas in the book. The book is The book is structured really in four segments or four parts. The first is discovering field trips, and that's what we did when we were children. We discovered field trips. We learned what they were all about.
Yep.
The second part is, and I may be saying these reverse, but the next three parts, we'll put it that way, is building field trips into your family life, building field trips into your business life, and then finding field trips that challenge yourself.
Yep.
And I believe in all four of those components, and so that is that's something that I agree. Any age should be able to utilize the book.
Yeah, I just instill it in our family, the kids in the family, grandkids, your kids. Have some fun at something. You could do something. I know that if you wake up in every morning and you're dreading, I found out years ago that if I have something to look forward to that day, it doesn't have to be mind-boggling. It can be something as simple as maybe, I don't know, going down and sitting at the beach and reading. But it's something you can look forward to. Now, first of all, how can they get your book, Jay?
So we have two versions. So you have the paperback right there, which is available on Amazon.com. And then you can get the hardcover at everydaysaFieldTrip.com.
And there's going to be a copy downstairs in the Upton Library. If you live in the area, come on over, because they got a dedicated local authors section. It's really cool. If they want you to come and speak, and how can they get your book?
They can, again, go through www.everydaysaFieldTrip.com, and happy to come and speak on behalf of whoever.
I think colleges, too. College was very anxiety-provoking for me. I don't think I was reaching where I really was. It was, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't fit in, and I just left after about a year and a half, 2 years, and went off to do other things. But I think it's important. It's like getting in touch, right, with what's inside of yourself. Now, here's a treat. The contents. I mean, look at this table of contents. Discovering field trips is part 1, right? As he said. Yankee Stadium. You go there?
Well, I grew up down there.
In New York?
In the Yankee Stadium area, if
Oh,
you would.
okay,
I grew
yeah.
up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, I've lived in Stanford.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go. So Yankee Stadium, you're either a Yankees fan or a Mets fan down in Stamford.
Yeah.
And growing up, obviously, I became a Yankee fan, but I loved, there's a story in that same chapter about Shea Stadium as well.
Yep.
It's funny, I've been to Fenway Park far more than I've been to Yankee Stadium, but that was the first.
That's the first one. That was your very first field trip. The Splinter. What's that?
So the Splinter is a story about me and the Harlem Globetrotters. And it is an interesting story. Obviously, I don't want to tell the whole story. Everybody won't want to read the book,
Yep.
but
Just a taste.
It's about a young man, me,
Yep.
who went to to a ball game to see the Harlem Globetrotters, and they were performing at the local high school, at Stanford High School. And I was just a kid, and with my paper route money, I bought a ticket to go, and ended up getting a Splinter in the bleachers, and mistakenly found my way to try to find it out into the men's room. Which happened to be the locker room, and the Harlem Globetrotters were there. So it's a funny story.
It was in your tail section.
It was in the it was in.
And
the
you were
wrong-
trying to do it yourself. Okay.
I was trying to go out to get it, and I ran into the Globetrotters, and it's really the story is about acts of kindness, and the field trips in that chapter are about doing acts of kindness. So you would think field trips, so you think everything is going to be getting on a bus, going to the Statue of Liberty, but there's so many ways to field trip every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of said it a few minutes ago, something to look forward to, something
Yes.
to do. And I enjoy just going out and doing kind of things that are nice.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, for example, I was in the parking lot of Trader Joe's in Shrewsbury.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And
I know where that
It's
is.
chaos in there.
Oh, yeah.
But I brought my cart out and I unloaded my groceries, and as I'm pulling my cart, there was a woman right next to me finishing. I said, "I'll take your cart," so I took her cart, and then there was a woman 2 cars down, and she looked at me like, "Will you take my cart too?" And I said, "Yes, I'll take your cart too." And before you know it, I'm the cart guy. I'm bringing back all the carts.
Oh my God! Like the kids do their jobs, they do it in the parking lot.
Yeah. But you know what? It helped these ladies move along with their day.
Yeah.
But it probably was even more helpful to me. I just had a smile on for the next half hour.
They probably were like delighted to have you help. Believe me.
I mean, it's really nothing, but the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is a little act of kindness can bring a smile to your face.
Were you raised this way, to think like this?
I was raised by my mother to open the car door for people, and that type of thing.
My mother was like that too. Kind. I mean, especially if you were sick. My God, if I was homesick, I'd be treated like royalty. She would tell me exactly where you could go and where you can't. Bed or the chair in the living room. And she'd check on me, make sure I was doing everything. Oh, your mom sounds like my mom. Now, we have, Mental Health Day. What's that?
So that's a great one. So I think I mentioned it before we started that we just started the PR for this show, and I did an interview in a network station out in San Diego the other day, and happened to have some friends who saw the clip on Facebook, and it talked about Mental Health Day, and these happen to be people that I went to school with in high school, and so they said, "Who was it?" They wanted to know who the teacher was.
Yeah.
Who was the teacher with Mental Health Day? And so this person was well ahead of their times. And every now and then I'd show up in the classroom, and for no reason other than maybe I looked like I was lost or something, my teacher would say, "Mr. Hummer, you looks like you can use a mental health day, and so you can leave." And in that school at the time, we had an open campus, so we didn't actually have to even stay on campus.
That was high school?
That was high school. And so I found my way over. This was a high school that was actually run by the University of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And so I'd run over to UConn and find a pickup basketball game and go play sports for the next 40 minutes and race back and get to the next class. And talk about feeling good, right?
Yeah.
That you just got to do something that was a bonus. It wasn't like, hey, it was planned, it was a bonus.
Your teacher was clued in, wasn't she?
It was a he, yes.
He, yeah.
And he was.
It didn't feel embarrassing at all to be singled out?
And he didn't ever say. Actually, it was with me and a friend. It was usually the two of us, and we. I don't know. Maybe we were disruptors, and he figured he'd give us some time.
Yeah.
But no, it was it was you didn't feel that way at all. You felt like, oh yes, and you didn't walk out, you ran out. But he was ahead of himself and really understanding that people need some time, and so I carried that over with me in business, and always said to my staff, if you need a mental health day, tell me, take it. Don't ask for it. Take it and just give me some notice that you're going to take it. Like,
oh, I'd love to work for you.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I started my corporate career in sales. And in sales, you get a lot of flexibility, a lot of leniency in doing your job.
Were you office, or like the men in my family were reps, so they'd go out all over the Massachusetts, New York, whatever.
Exactly. I was in the franchise business, so I was all over the place, and it was really easy to take a mental health day. Nobody needed to tell you.
Nobody
you could just
knew.
take it. Nobody knew where you were. But if you were disciplined enough to earn it, it wouldn't matter if you took it, and you could kind of recharge yourself.
That is so cool. Again, we are talking with Jay Hummer, and he is the author of this great new book, Every Day is a Field Trip. Again, Jay, how can they get a hold of your book and reach you?
So you can get the hard copy at www.everydayisafieldtrip.com, and you can get the paperback at amazon.com, and there are other online sites you can get them, but this is pretty easy, those two direct ways.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. And you're open to somebody inviting you to come and speak?
Sure.
Sure. You'll go. He was at Tatnuck recently. If you could brave Tatnuck, you could go anywhere, right?
That's a great story. It was nice being there.
Now, his part 2, building field trips into work. This is cool, too, because you've had companies. Were you able, when you were the CEO, or that you are still, build this into the company? Can you do this? Build this in?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Travel. And travel is kind of the first part. A lot of people travel for business, and whether it's like you said, your people in your family who were reps and they were traveling all over.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to Connecticut, you can bet I'm stopping for Pepe's Pizza on the way home in New Haven. I'm getting some New Haven pizza, or I may stop and go climb a mountain or a ridge that I know is somewhere, or I may stop at a museum.
Yeah.
But if you're racing to get back to your everyday life, you're not going to be enjoying an everyday as a field trip life. And so there's so many places along the way.
Yeah.
Travel by air is something that people tend to get into this like zone where their head is down and they don't notice the world around them. And I remember when I first started traveling, and there's a chapter in there about that, where people would just hit the hotel bar. They go to their meeting, they hit the hotel bar, and that's basically all they did. Yeah. And I said, my gosh, there's so much around me.
Boring.
I want to see it all.
Yeah, right.
No matter where I went, I wanted to go out and explore, and I had a curiosity that wanted to see other things and to do that. And so building field trips into work still today is really easy in my mind.
As the CEO of a company, do you build field trips? I mean, do you say we're all going to get together and we're all going to go Southwick Zoo? Do you do that?
Absolutely. So my companies now are not at the same size that I used to be in corporate America, but we would have rafting trips where we would go rafting up in Maine, or in Las Vegas, for example. When we travel, we go to shows together, or do whatever it is. Wherever you are, you're going to find something to do. And fortunately, I was with a company that the company also believed that. The ownership of the company believed in having fun and getting out there and enjoying. So that made it easy.
You remind me of this Branton. He's an entrepreneur. He owns JetBlue, or one of the airlines. I can't think of his name. Do you know who I mean?
I do not.
He has made it fun for his people in his company. I can see his face. He's on Shark Tank, or whatever. But he's an entrepreneur, and he really is. And he made it fun for people to come to work. So everybody sits down, and they share ideas and that type of thing. But having been in, I would say, corporate meetings, I didn't find that. I mean, if you didn't raise your hand, or one person would probably take over and hog the whole limelight and say, so the leaders are zeroing in on that person, and everyone else is sitting there like, everyone's got an idea. I felt like screaming. I was volunteering, and I said, come on, don't just go with this guy. Let's go around the table. I left. I was there for about maybe 4 or 5 years. And I said, this is crazy. And it's not why I signed up. This was supposed to be voluntary to help at this hospital. I thought, ain't going to happen. These people are too into the autocracy, the money, statistics. What do you call those big things where PowerPoints. I'm like, really? About the finances. That's not my strong point. So I'm an artist too, so I'm like doodling along. I'm listening, but I'm like creating something. Is that part of your outlook too, of people who create, combine these two things in like a corporate or whatever?
Well, I mean, corporate is tough. I mean, if you're in the wrong company, then it might be hard to enjoy field trips when you're locked down.
Yeah.
But I would, in that suggestion, I'd say maybe see if you can find a spot that better fits what you want out of your life.
Right.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't have that, and they have to live the 9-to-5 way, and that's okay too. If that's the way it is, then we obviously have plenty of time left in the day to enjoy yourself, and that's a part of the day then that I would work with. I'm not going to sit here saying that I can change everybody's life, that everybody can fit into this one form. That's not the case.
Do you speak at companies? This would be great. Do you actually get there and talk to these people?
Well, we haven't done it. We just the book is fresh, it's new, and we haven't done that yet. Quite frankly, I look at it this way. I don't think a company is necessarily my the person who's going to hire us, because we're basically saying, hey, you work too much, you need to play more.
A lot of sick days.
A lot of companies may not think that's what they want to hear or have their employees hear on a regular basis. So,
no. Again, we're talking with Jay Hummer, and he is the author of Every Day is a Field Trip. Jay, we have, let's see. Every single chapter is so cool. Before I go, he just told me that he rode 50 miles in one day on your bike?
Oh, that was yesterday, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so 50 miles. Non-stop?
Non-stop, yeah. Yeah, I mean, biking is kind of like running. And we're in this area where there are so many people who run long distance. And I say running a marathon, that's crazy. I could never think about doing that.
Yeah.
But running and biking is all just a discipline. You just start small and you build yourself up.
Yeah.
And there are so many bikers out there who do far more than I do, and who are in great shape. To me, it's part of the mentality of every day is a field trip.
Right.
I'm going to take one type of exercise field trip, most every day that I can, and that just gets me going on the start of it. I mean, in the book we talk about the bus stop, and little fun things that you can do with a bus stop. When our children were young, I used to go out to the bus stop with the kids, and
me too. Yeah.
I didn't stand there with a cup of coffee, talking to the other adults. I actually brought a ball or some other type of game. Yeah. And we had recess at the bus stop, essentially.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the kids were able to jumpstart their day and get going, and we'd play football or soccer or whatever sport the kids wanted to play, and we would play that. They would get a little jump start to their day. They'd feel better by the time they hit their classroom. And I'd already get a jump start to my day. I was having fun playing a game, but inevitably I would also then just move on and take a walk.
Yeah.
And taking a walk is a great form of exercise for just about all of us, and most particularly out here in the suburbs where we have these great places to walk.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to be in a really cool neighborhood too, you got a nice sidewalk. Jay, again, how can they get your book and contact you?
So they can get the hardcover at everydaysafieldtrip.com, and they can get the paperback at amazon.com. They are available in other resources as well, but these two are really pretty easy, the website or Amazon.
Now, the third part, building field trips into family life. My father was good at that. He worked very hard, but he made sure we got to some fun stuff too. That's important. It really is. What is this first one, Helen? Tell us about that.
Helen is my lovely bride.
I thought so. Okay.
Yes. Yep. And so, I got lucky, and we met each other and fell in love, and both like to do field trips and like to be busy doing things all the time. Yeah. So it's really about family. So Helen is the title because that's that's the base
That's
of my
right.
family.
Yeah.
But that's for anybody's family, and it doesn't necessarily have to be blood relatives. It can be whoever is your family.
Right.
And that family is important, and that you can, build field trips around family. We're very fortunate. We have 3 children, and they absolutely loved going on field trips,
Oh,
whether
bet.
they were big or strong.
Oh,
My
yeah.
daughter, I was with her last night, and she reminded me of this funny occurrence that happened at Logan Airport. So we were taking our children on a flight, and it was an overnight flight, and we were taking them on. They were young. So at the jetway, I was carrying, I think, a child in one arm and one of those little things.
On wheels?
The baby. No, the came out of the stroller. The
Okay,
little,
the baby in the bucket?
yeah,
Okay.
I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But I was carrying a child there. I had one child in my arm, and then I had like 2 suitcases, and Helen had already gone onto the plane.
Yeah.
And I had this couple who's probably my age now. This was, probably 15 years ago or more. And they were just in such a rush, and they couldn't wait to get onto that plane, and they were basically pushing their way past me.
Ooh, I bet that didn't go over well with the other people.
It was one of those, hey, the plane's going to wait for you, buddy, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. So as I finally get back to the seats, who is sitting right in front
Him?
of my girls?
Them?
And we were always very cautious about what our children do to bother others when we
Yeah,
travel.
yeah.
They were good travelers. That particular flight, those trays came up and down so many times by my kids, and I never told them not to.
So you were not sitting right with one of your kids or Helen. You were sitting with these 2 strangers beside you?
No. We were sitting across the aisle, and right in front of my children were the people who were obnoxious. And my children, how the kids like to pull down the tray,
Yeah, and
they
then
like
also
to
kick
do
the
their
seat
stuff.
in front of them, yeah.
And we always correct them. Hey, don't do that. I let that one run a little while.
Oh, you are amazing.
Yeah.
How did those people take it?
They looked back, and it was like, and I basically said, "Comes around, doesn't it?"
Yeah. You
Yeah,
didn't?
of course
Did you
I-
say that?
Of course I did.
Oh, God.
Some,
Wow,
Yeah.
brave. You couldn't get me to play. Was it Dean Martin? Yeah, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. He had a thing about elevators and planes, and he felt like I do. Planes are like flying coffins to me. You couldn't get me on one. I just can't do it.
yeah.
I would rather go in the car, take the long trip, stop somewhere, stay overnight, and take it like as a fun field trip, not like we're leaving at this time and we're going to do it this way. One more to go. Let's see. We have about 3 minutes to go here. Bad day of baseball. What was that?
Well, the point of that chapter, in every chapter, there's an inspiring story,
Yeah.
and we're kind of talking about the stories, and then the story is filled with a field trip that
Yep.
is available after the story, or several field trips after each chapter. And bad day of baseball is really a phrase, right? That people might say a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work, or and that's what this was. My son had a tough day at the plate, a tough day,
Yeah.
where in a sport like that you learn failure as much as you learn success. And it was a story about my son having a tough day and what we did as a result of it. And and that is the fact that, hey, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have tough days, and it's not about if, it's when and how you handle it. And then what mentality you have moving forward to enjoy your life on that day and every day.
Jay is very smartly put in the chapters, field trip, take on a big project, and he'll list the field trip ideas in here. This is pretty cool. You said you have another, before we close, you have another book coming, did you say?
I'm writing another book with a friend,
Yeah.
and this book is about difference and about learning to become friends with somebody who maybe comes from a different place than you do.
Oh, I love it. That's me. Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And this book is about being on the trails, out in nature, and getting to know somebody who comes from a different spot, and from both angles, from hers and mine.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I took she was a friend. I met her in a mindful class, like meditation, and she was, I believe, a Muslim, and she had her hijab on, and she and I just became friends. And I don't think she'd ever been to a yard sale in America. I said, come on, let's go. So we went to it, and what she was doing, talk about an act of kindness, The things she was buying were to send home to the people who needed it. I'm like, my God, girl, you're going to get anything for yourself too? She was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have you back on again. Let us know when the next book comes out, okay? Every day is a field trip. A lot of fun, all ages. Pick it up, and also come out to the library, and you can borrow the copy. How's that? How good does that get? Thank you for being with us.
It's been my pleasure.
He'll be back. See you next time and be my guest.
Moving through the cloudless sky, heading out toward the moon. I am dancing to the lunar tune. Life goes by